All right. Good morning and welcome to the Sep- September, yes, September Business Leaders Roundtable. I know this year is going really fast, I tell you what. So, as this is a roundtable, just some ground rules. Obviously, the more we interact, the more we'll collectively take away. Um, and having said that, please, no hogs, no logs, no hogs. Keep on point and brief so everyone gets an opportunity to participate. And as the moderator, sometimes I might just cut people short just to make sure that people are on point and keep things moving. If you're not speaking, if you could just mute yourself to avoid any background noise. And as always, this forum is a great networking opportunity. We know that people have uh, cross-referred and given business to other members in the group. One thing I would like to ask is every one of you knows at least one or two more business owners, and we would really like to expand this group to get people in on a regular basis. We have some regulars. Peter Picton is a regular. Ali is a regular. Rick, semi-regular. Michael, you're there quite often, etc. So if we can all just get one more person in, just introduce them, give them my details. I'll have a chat with them, and that would be really fantastic. So if I could ask you to do that, that would be great. Put your details, name, rank, serial number into the chat, and then just save the chat at the end, because that way you'll get everybody's details. So what I'll do is I'll just put mine in just to give you an idea. And chat. Where's the chat? Oh, there's the chat. Okay. So just do that. And how do I get this chat window out of the way? It's disappeared. All right. So let's start with a series of introductions. Rick, how about you go first? Name, rank, serial number.
Hi, I'm Rick from Coldbuster Floor Heating. Obviously, we provide floor heating. We supply only or supply and install throughout Australia. We work directly with anyone in the building industry or property industry or directly to the consumer. And our whole approach is we never have to push or sell floor heating. All we have to do is inform about floor heating. There's such enormous potential with this product. Everyone loves the product, but 1% of people perhaps consider it and get a quote before their floors go down, and it's too late. So this is why we see there's just ridiculous, enormous opportunity to build the business. And we just want to be quoting machines and let the sales happen as they happen. We never do a hard sales push. We don't have to. We just have to inform at the right time. Okay. Is that what you had in mind, Rashid, as an intro? Hello? I think I shocked him into.
I think he's just frozen. It's fine, Rick. It's fine.
Okay,
I'll take over.
He just looked shocked. I don't know if it was such a good
he doesn't seem to be. He doesn't. Something seems to have gone wrong.
Okay.
Anyway, let's just take Aaron next, please.
Good morning.
You're on mute. Nah, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Rashid, for the invite. First time here. I have connected with Peter and Ali, so I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys. So I own an artificial intelligence firm. We have about 40 people roughly and growing by 4 or 5 every month at the moment. We basically, companies approach us to solve reoccurring problems or looking for optimization, and we design AI algorithms, neural networks. We do automation as well. We have an office here in Brisbane, New York, Edmonton, Canada, and Mohali in India. And I've been in business for 20 odd years. It's my 7th business, and had a few exits and a few scars and lessons along the way. So nice to be here.
Okay, excellent. Welcome. Peter.
Yeah, Peter Picton from GradSift. So GradSift is an AI-enabled platform to allow employers who recruit high-volume graduates and interns to shortlist them within seconds instead of going through manual resume reviews or intense psychometric assessments. And that's and we've kind of extending the use of the platform and the technology, but that's the core of what it is at the moment.
Great. Ali, how are you going?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Ali Akbari. I am an AI expert. I've been in various different industries, starting from manufacturing, then banking, audit, remediation, aviation industry, public sector, border protection, biometrics. Currently, I'm with transport. I have no business of my own currently. Well, I had a business many years ago. I sold it, still going on, but yeah, currently my business is myself. Nice to meet you all.
And Michael.
Morning, everyone. Michael Sakalis, Synergistics Australia is the name of my company. We help our clients who are in asset-intensive industries, mining, mineral processing, to try and solve their problems, their operational problems, and we do that through aligning people, processes, and technology. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Excellent. And Roger.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Roger. I'm from CARE MIT. We are a cyber risk mitigation company. So, and we are in the small business and not-for-profit organisation space. We literally look at the risks of a cyber breach and improve the environment so that they reduce the opportunity for that to happen. So,
excellent. Joseph, welcome.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for the invite, and this is my first time at your meetings. So my name is Joseph Catalano. I'm from Universal Technology Solutions. So we provide IT sales, service and support, and we especially help our customers with their infrastructure issues and implementing infrastructure solutions and cloud solutions to suit their businesses.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. And I think you managed to switch your camera off, maybe intentionally or not. And Josh, welcome. That's there. Josh, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Rashid, thanks so much for the invite. This is my first time here. So my name is Josh Tai. I'm the Managing Director of Digital Village. We are a digital specialist network that helps companies build and manage digital solutions. So that can be anything from a mobile application, a web application. We have a network of about 300 specialists spread across the globe. Head offices in Sydney. We've got offices as well in Melbourne and Brisbane. And we run two different models. So one model being we deliver projects based around scope. So we assemble teams and work alongside our clients to deliver whatever it is that they need delivered. Or for more, a different model is we offer a team hire approach. So sometimes our customers will say, hey, that they'll have some job descriptions for front-end developers or designers or something similar. And they'll say, okay, we need these people for 3-6 months. There's no particular scope, but we just need some bodies to augment into our existing team. So we help companies scale up and scale down their teams in a really cost-efficient way.
Okay, excellent. So today I'd like to set a frame around today's topic, which is innovation, because we all need to innovate. But before I do that, some of you are familiar with this particular model, which is our model for growing a business, which focuses on 3 major components. And I'll just go through them very rapidly and then focus in on innovation. So there's leadership, because everything starts with leadership. There's sales and delivery. Those are the 3 major components of a business. And think of them like tumblers on a safe. They all have to align so that the door to success, running a successful business, opens. But the real keys are the intersections where we've got positioning, capability, and innovation. And between leadership and sales is positioning. And positioning is all about how you're seen in your marketplace, in your particular niche, what it is you stand for, what is your brand promise, why would someone come to you over everybody else? Then we have sales and delivery, which is capability, the intersection. And this is where I see a lot of people fall down, because when I talk to business owners, they say, look, we're getting more sales, but we don't have enough to deliver. Or, especially in service industries, we've got people sitting on the bench and there's a risk when we don't have enough sales. And capability is all around your resources, your people, your cash flow, because as you grow, you need more cash. And I've seen lots of organizations basically go to the wall because they can't actually fund the growth. And it's a very fine balance. And then we have innovation. And why I thought we'd really look at innovation today. And oh, by the way, on the outside, we have strategy and people. So strategy is obviously leadership in your overall strategy, moving the business forward. People component is the most important component, because without people, you're not going to have very much of a business. And that encompasses your culture, the way you do things, your KPIs, how you actually lead. And then with marketing and prospecting, sales, obviously, you need to market yourself and get out there. And prospect means find more business. And with delivery, how do you actually capture your IP and systemize it? Because you want to have systems that make you more efficient and effective, so that you can deliver more effectively. And the IP of your business needs to be captured so that no one person walking out the door is going to actually cripple your business. And capturing the IP in a smart way means that the business can actually be sold because it runs as a business. So let's just move into innovation. And I just want to give you some points here, and then we'll just open up the discussion. So as far as we're concerned, there are three groups that are positively impacted by being innovative and creative. Number one, it's your business. Number two, it's your people. And number three, it's your clients. And I wrote down a number of points that I think really speak to innovation. So the first one is it safeguards your business. You stay ahead of the curve. You take the lead. You can be the disruptor rather than being disrupted. Innovation gives you a competitive edge. It helps you differentiate your offerings from the competitors. You can offer unique solutions, stay ahead of the competitors, capture a larger share of the market. And if you innovate, you also meet evolving customer needs, because your customers' preferences evolve, and you adapt to these changes and better meet the needs of your audience. If you also innovate, you stay relevant, because technology like AI could come along and disrupt you. If we talk about AI, and Ali, you're an expert, as well as Aaron, for instance, just how disruptive it can be, especially for lower level jobs, especially with something like ChatGPT coming along and supposedly writing all your content for you. And then how do you innovate to increase efficiency and effectiveness, which includes your leadership, sales, and delivery systems? How do you streamline your operations? How do you automate repetitive tasks, adopting technologies which can significantly improve your profitability, because you have better resource allocation, which is something that Aaron does, for instance. And then how do you attract and retain better talent? Because, certainly younger people these days are all looking for opportunities to work on exciting projects, and they want to contribute their ideas into a dynamic environment. So you don't want a staid culture where it's always been done like this and we're always going to keep doing it like this. And finally, you've got risk mitigation. How do you proactively seek new solutions and diversify your product and service offerings so that you don't get caught in some little box when somebody else comes along and disrupts you? Taxi industry being a classic example with Uber. And what's your reputation going to be going forward? Are you going to be seen as someone who is innovative, or are you going to be seen as, we started the business in 1921 and we still think like we're in 1921? And that all leads to long-term sustainability. So how do you position your company for continued success as the business landscape evolves? Now, having said all of that, innovation doesn't have to necessarily be complex. So innovation can be, I just think of a new way of bringing a product or service to market. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples just out of our files. And then I want to just open this up and talk about how you see innovation in your own organizations and how you see it benefiting your clients. So one is an engineering company. These are very specialized engineer who does flow dynamics, highly specialized field. And he works through the channel. So he works with a number of engineering consultancies who then deal with end clients who are doing major building projects. And as part of what we do, we ring end clients to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how they're doing. And the first client I rang and I said, oh, look, he does this, this, and this, and you're using him for this particular service. How much business are you actually giving him out of all of the projects that you do? And they said, oh, it's about 5 or 6%. I said, really? Okay, so what are you doing the other time? So he said, we might do it in-house, or it's not warranted. I said, so what would happen if, so I said, okay, so how are you actually charging? So our client would charge the end client directly. So these people would not make any sort of uplift on it, and it wouldn't be white labeled. And I said, what would happen if you actually white labeled it? So it came out looking as if it was your service. They said we'd actually give him something like 95% of the job. So we went from 5% to 95%, just with one phone call and one rethinking of how something could be done. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. That's a significant uplift. So I rang the next person and I said the same thing. And they said, yep, we'd give him far more business if we did this. Rang the third person, same story. So just by asking the right questions, it doesn't seem like innovation, but it is innovation, because we're just thinking outside the box, and we're creating a completely new blue sky for a client by doing this. And another client in the financial services industry, where it was you ever go to a financial planner, they all say, we'll give you the first hour free. And I said to this client, you're going to have to start charging for this, because you're giving real value. And so for years, they've been charging a significant, they started at $500 for the first meeting. I don't know what they charge now. They charge a bit more. But they bring in people for the first meeting. They give real value. And if the person isn't in a position to take advantage of their services, they've still given them enough information so that they can build up a portfolio. So that's another example of innovation. And the third one happened the other day, where I was talking to a business owner who just sold a series of restaurants, and he was saying, well, what do I want to do? And he's really passionate about pizza. And would you believe there's something like 20 different pizza styles in the world? And Italian pizza is nothing like Australian pizza. And so he said, oh, look, I really want to start a pizza restaurant or a pizza chain. And I said, well, you're really passionate about helping people. So why take the risk of getting into another crowded market where you walk down into Newtown and there are 15 different pizza shops next to each other, or pizza takeaway places? Why don't you become a Gordon Ramsay and go and help restaurant owners become more profitable? And if you see something that really is working, whether it's here or maybe even overseas, then you bring it into the country, or you buy into something, which is a completely different way of looking at something. Because he said he's been in hospitality since he was 13. He's owned a string of restaurants. So he really knows what he's doing. So that's my take on innovation. So sometimes it can be innovating to really improve what you're doing in the business. It could be innovating to find another market as a blue sky. It could be innovating to find a completely new service that you provide. So having said all of that, I thought I'd just open it up. So how are you innovating in your businesses, and why do you think it's important for you?
I'm happy to start.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so I fully agree with just about everything you said there. You don't innovate, you die. No matter how good your business is, over time you'll die. So we are a growing company. Firstly, we're innovating internally all the time. Every single one of my staff knows that we have an open door policy. No matter how big or small an idea you have, come to us, because I'm looking to improve on every single aspect of the business, internally or externally, and they all know that. And we're always making changes to our templates and SOPs, etc., to continuously improve. But obviously on the bigger side is external innovation. Well, everyone knows here we're in a small niche market with floor heating. but it shouldn't be. I explained before about the 1% of people who are actually considering floor heating, and there's nothing else like that, I think, in the whole economy, where 100% of people love something and 1% actually consider it. So we have enormous opportunity just to stay still and do what we're doing and grow, and we're doing that. But we're innovating as well. I'm looking at anything with any remote synergy with what we do, which is floor heating. We're looking into, well, we're electric floor heating. We're looking into hydronic floor heating as a possibility, infrared floor heating, which is another thing. It's like a sort of a premium, much more expensive, but it has other qualities. We've come across a flooring company who we believe is the first ones to make a timber flooring specifically for floor heating. So we're getting into bed with them. It could be anything as silly as we're looking at wall panels, heated wall panels. So, you know, we're starting in line when it's too late for floor heating, i.e. the floors are down. We're coming up with other great solutions like these. And this will involve panels where you can actually put artwork or logos on. So now I'm thinking, well, if we get into that, we could actually get a bit into the marketing side of things and market heated wall panels with logos or art, or you know, for corporate logos or whatever. Similar, you know, even stuff as silly as small Swiss Army knives, you know, made in our orange with Cold Buster on them, with the tools we use for floor heating installation, plus a few others. And we buy them in bulk and have them custom made, and they're relatively cheap. We can give them out as gifts, but we can also use these as marketing things for us and offer them to all our clients and say, you can brand something similar. We can arrange that. It's yet another possible opportunity. You know, we're into heated towel rails and mirror demisters. All these things are to make profits on their own, but more, we're always going to be a floor heating company, and they're all to help us get more floor heating sales at the end of the day.
Yeah. So if you look at the middle, spokes of a wheel, if you like, floor heating's in the middle. But what are all the things that can come around it?
Solar energy is another one which has enormous potential for us as another spoke in the wheel, because there's huge synergies, solar energy and floor heating. Hey, Chris.
Morning, Chris.
Morning.
All
Sorry,
right.
I just ran from BNI to here.
Good.
So it's always Thursdays are hard.
Yeah, Chris, just take 10 seconds and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Chris from Lottie Media. We are message marketers and copywriting strategists, and we help brands articulate their value to the people who matter most, which are their customers. So we help synthesize messages across all your communications to make you relevant.
Excellent. Chris, just to put the frame around today, we're talking about innovation and why you need to innovate, and how to go about it. So just think about that in the background for a second. Anybody else want to, who else is innovating? Peter.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what Rick was talking about, because I kind of look at what Rick has described about trying to get people to consider floor heating before they start building, as in a way similar to, you know, what we face at GradSift, or have faced at GradSift, where you're actually an evangelist in basically having to go and tell people about this wonderful product, whether it's floor heating, and getting people aware of it, and getting people to stop and think before they actually start building that this is something that's really, really good. And I know that's when we first started with GradSift. It was the same kind of thing. We were saying to employers, instead of doing manual resume reviews, use GradSift, and it will do that work for you instantly. Or instead of using psychometric assessments, the risks and the negatives that are associated with that, you can overcome that using GradSift. And we've had to, you know, educate the market on the disadvantages of what they're doing, and position, in our case, GradSift as an alternative that is much more superior. But to do that, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort, because it's not an automatic, you know, decision where somebody says, "Oh my God, that sounds fantastic. Let's go ahead and do that." Same as with you know, Rick's heating. eventually you get there. But again, similar to what Rick was talking about, what we have done is extended off our core platform to deliver services that employers are actually asking for as well. So using the platform, and just as a simple example, we have a contract with the Queensland government with their IT graduate program, and they have about 120 different hiring managers across all different departments and agencies who access the platform to, if they're recruiting for a cyber graduate or a business analyst or software developer, basically are able to use the platform and the tools to easily identify the types of candidates they're after. So that's something which was actually came from an employer saying they had a frustration, but that's where we're able to say, okay, well, hold on, we can actually help develop the platform further in order for you to be able to meet that kind of need. And it's been extremely popular and also great from a business development point of view, because it means that we've got probably about 15 different Queensland government departments using our platform, which has led to some of those departments coming back saying we want to actually use it for our full program ourselves. So it's actually led to new business as well. So it's just, I think it was that concept of, if you are an evangelist, you're innovative and you're an evangelist, that takes a lot of work.
Well, they always say pioneers get arrows in their back. And it's very often the second mover who comes in and cleans up. That's not to say that you don't need to innovate, but I think you make an interesting point there where you said, talk to the client. What is the client experiencing? And how could I solve this? And as long as there are enough of them, then it's worth doing.
Yeah. And I think the other challenge is that not all clients know, that they have a problem. And again, we're in our space of graduate recruitment, we're seeing changes happening in the market the last 2 years, because there are, a lot of graduates are saying, I don't want to go through a psychometric assessment that takes me 90 minutes of my life, when I may not even pass it, I may not even get any further. And so we're seeing the behavior of Gen Z, applicants or students who basically say, I don't want to go through 5 different steps of an online application, psychometric assessments, video interviews, assessment centers, all these other things, when I'm not even 100% sure I actually want to work for that organization. And so they're dropping out. And we've seen some of the big banks, for example, have dropped altogether some parts of their assessment process, psychometric assessments, because they've had up to 40% of the candidates who had applied to the program has dropped out and said, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. So until the client starts to feel some pain themselves, if they're happy with things the way they are, you have to be the evangelist to try to get them to realize there are better ways of doing it. But if it's when they experience pain, that's when they're more open to say what else is out there.
Well, I just want to say, Peter, the word evangelist, that's a great word. That's how I feel when I'm always talking about what I do. So thanks for that. I'm going to use that from now on.
Yeah, but the reality is, Peter, as you point out, pain motivates far faster than aspiration.
Correct.
And what we always teach in us when we deal with clients, especially in sales consulting, we say it's up to you to bring insights to the client and show them why what they're doing is costing them money or time or productivity, which all comes back to money at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. Or well-being, because they're stressed. And therefore, if they're stressed or their people are stressed, then the people are going to leave. And then, this whole thing spills. But, you have to show them why staying in the status quo is not in their best interest.
Correct.
Some will, some won't, but that's just life. Anyway, someone else. Who else is innovating?
We can probably share next. We probably struggle with it. I mean, we're an AI firm, right? And companies use us to innovate. And so we've been thinking about this a lot. And I think, what Peter was saying, I kind of think about product market fit. If you have product market fit, you don't need to be an evangelist because the demand, right, is always there. And so it's probably a little bit what we're going through. AI is the flavor of the month. ChatGPT has been a great marketing tool for AI companies, and Ali can probably smile. And some of us have been in the industry a long time, and it feels like now there's an awakening happening, which makes it even harder to innovate, because if you have product market fit, we're just trying to keep up with delivering projects and making sure that the quality's there. And that then makes it difficult for us to innovate internally. We had a bot that we designed that would scrape the web looking for prospects. And I think, 48,000 leads, ranked from 1 to 48,000 for their propensity to want to implement AI. We targeted ASX listed companies first. We're slowly making our way through the list, but it's difficult. And we're a global business as well. So I think about part of the pitch for people to join my business was around personal development. And, we have a library and people can read, and I love to read. And from that comes innovation. We have these Ferrari sessions, which we have so in one of our offices, we have 300 Ferraris attached to a wall, a big concrete wall. So it's our Ferrari wall. It's the world's biggest Ferrari wall. And we have these Ferrari sessions where people come in, and symposiums, they talk about things. But what I found is that is declining, because we're operating to deliver. And we're like an innovation partner for most of our clients, right? Because they want to implement AI, and some of them, might think that there might be some confusion about what AI is and what it isn't. So it's a real challenge for us, and in an innovative business and market, to innovate for ourselves, to grow our business is challenging.
Yeah, well, it's always the case with the plumber with the leaky taps, the cobbler with no shoe, children with no shoes.
Yeah, and question it sometimes, right? Like, I think what's more important right now, is it product market fit, which means every conversation is a deal, right? And the conversion rates off the charts. And where does innovation come into that? To me, it's a real challenge when there's product market fit and innovation. I know there needs to be both to scale a business. But it's a question that I'm asking of myself at the moment.
Yeah, I like that, Aaron. Sorry, Rashid, I just want to jump in because I resonate with what you're saying, Aaron. If I think about where we come from, a digital village, and essentially a consulting firm is a consulting firm. There's, they're a dime a dozen, and so for us, in a similar way, thinking about, okay, well, how much do we really need to change our business model, because everybody gets us, and it's a very straightforward conversation to say, yes, we can help you build your e-commerce site or your next customer-facing mobile application or whatever it might be. And so what I got the team to start to look at was, okay, well, how can we still manage to differentiate ourselves so that customers really remember the experience of working with us, and they kind of come out of that going, wow, Digital Village, they were vastly different to consulting A, B, C, D, or whatever. And we've introduced little things like customer onboarding videos. So as a project's about to start, we have a kickoff meeting where it's a face-to-face meeting, but prior to that, we'll actually send a video out to the customer, letting them know once they've signed the statement of work, it's a welcome video, and it'll be from whichever, call them a partner or account manager or whatever it might be, whoever has that relationship will send that out, welcoming them, thanking them, and then letting them know, hey, these are the things that are coming up that we'd love you to get ready and prepare for. Little things like that is a real point of difference for us. And I'm ex-Deloitte. So I was Deloitte Management Consulting in strategy for about 11 years. And it's a big machine, right? And you can easily walk through any door and anybody will have a conversation with you because you've got the brand there, etc. Two things. One, Rashid, to your point, absolutely. You know, the cobbler with no shoes or the plumber with the leaky pipes is a great example in consulting of we could consult and roll out amazing frameworks and methodologies and deliver success for our clients. And then when we looked internally, sometimes it was an absolute mess, right? But we still got by because it was a big company. But to me, that was an eye opener. That was probably like the first real professional job that I had where it exposed me to we do it for others, but we can't do it for ourselves. But they were big on innovation. So they were big on innovation and coming up with new offerings, new services, even though consulting again was, everybody knows what consulting is. So yeah, I took a lot from that experience. But yeah, the things we're doing at Digital Village around, you know, videos for onboarding, looking at ways, there's different applications out there now, like off the shelf products where we can run surveys with our customers, but it's called Video Ask. So as they're doing the survey, there's a little video alongside it where we're talking them through exactly what the question is, what it means, how to do it, etc. Little things like that, rather than traditionally sending them a Google form or something like that, which, you know, or a type form that just says, hey, fill out these 10 questions, or we'd love to get your feedback or an NPS score for our delivery. So that's something that we're looking to do just to create a better customer experience for the customers or companies that we're delivering for. Then we call them members. Our network is primarily freelancers. So they're not on our books. We're not paying for them. We don't have that salary implication, but it can look and feel like they're employees because everyone's fairly tight. It's a good network of people. But what we're doing there to try and encourage more engagement is actually build out a platform. So we want to build out a platform that can connect everybody. It gives everybody an opportunity to meet each other virtually. It's something a little bit different. I probably would struggle right now to articulate exactly where that's going because it's still super early days. But we're trying to create a platform that will encourage our members to come together, connect with each other, potentially, you know, look at what we're doing now with this meeting, potentially have opportunities where either they can work with each other or find work or opportunities from each other, but do it in a very technology-led way. And so for us, yeah, trying to innovate around that's been really interesting because it initially started with, well, let's put the business on rails and let's help each of the freelancers run their own businesses. And then it's kind of evolved as we've gone out for feedback and asked them exactly what they want, what's important to them. So that's a work in progress. And hopefully over the coming months, I can share more about that with you guys, just as we try and innovate on that side as well.
Okay, good. Thanks, Josh. Okay, let's just take this up a couple of logical levels. Okay, so let's look at what happens if you don't innovate. What happens if you think, okay, and you know, we're all busy, we're all doing the things we're doing, and if we don't, it's the classic working on the business to a point where you can be beyond the business, and being beyond the business means the business should be able to run without you. So what would happen if you don't take the time out to start thinking outside that normal realm of wherever you're at? Barbara, you want to say something?
Yes, and what could happen if you did, and why would you want to do it? Because what strikes me right now, everybody says how they're doing things, how they want to do things. And I think if we lift it to that why we want to do it, the how will not entirely take care of itself, but it will give you, the why will give you some reasons around it, and that might be a different way of looking at it.
So I'm going to ask 4 Cartesian coordinate questions that we ask people, and it's going to be interesting to see what you think. Okay, so what will happen if you do innovate? What will happen if you don't innovate?
You may want to write those down, guys.
So what will happen if you do? What will happen if you don't? What won't happen if you do? And what won't happen if you don't? Now try answering that one. So let's take one of them, okay? So what won't happen? What won't happen if you don't innovate?
Okay, well, you won't diversify. You won't possibly make yourself more efficient. And I think over time, even if you have a great existing business that's only going to last a certain amount of time, your competitors or new entrants will pass you by.
Yeah,
and you'll be left behind. We've seen it time and time again in every industry.
Yeah, and you potentially won't learn how to perform better, or also learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes innovation brings a lot of failure, which is
Yeah.
good growth.
So, Michael, you deal with large organizations in that sort of space where you're helping them improve their operations. What do you reckon happens if you weren't innovating, or they weren't innovating, or you weren't helping them innovate how they do things?
Oh, yeah. Our experience with larger companies, they want to innovate. They like shiny new toys, but what we find a lot of the times is just getting the fundamentals right, the basics. You know, we do a lot of business process modeling to understand their work practices and understand interactions between various teams. And yes, just for me, in terms of improvement, you know, you need a good solid basis and foundation. And sometimes that's lacking because everyone's just jumping to the shiny toys. So not quite answering your question, but you know, our experience with large organizations, yeah, just getting the fundamentals and basic work practices right and technology aligned with what they do and educating people. It's you know, I put it down to a lot of common sense, but apparently common sense ain't that common. So that's good for us. And I get to call myself a consultant by applying common sense. So all good. So I don't know if that quite answers your question in terms of what, you know, what we observe with large companies in terms of innovation. But yeah, just to reiterate, yeah, always jumping to the shiny toys for innovation, which is a good thing. But they never get the you know, the return on investment, or they never quite hit the mark because you know, a lot of the times the fundamentals or the foundational building blocks aren't quite as robust as they think they are.
Michael, I think you do innovate because of that. Exactly that. You are they're standing on shaky ground, right?
Most times, absolutely.
Yes. So what you're doing with what they have, you reassemble things so that they are on solid ground.
Well, that's what we try to do, yes.
Yes. No, I know it doesn't always work, but you are actually doing, you're innovating within that field and say, if we turn it this way, it's going to be a lot more whatever, a lot better anyway. So
Yeah.
as we said, as Rashid said before, innovation is not about necessarily about big things.
Yeah, for me, yeah, innovation or what we do is about getting all the little things right. People talk about my favorite is, you know, most organizations you go to, they talk about empowering their people to make better decisions. You know, that's a fairly nice generic one. When we have a look at their work practices, you'll see that for someone to make a decision, it needs to be approved by their manager and their manager's manager. You know, you can quite clearly say, okay, how is this empowering someone when there's 5 levels of approvals? So just simple things like that. Once again, nothing overly complex, is it?
Two things, maybe one directly to the question you mentioned, Rashid. What will happen to those large organizations? Basically, well, I have been mostly working with these large organizations, and what I've observed is when they don't do innovate, but because they have many different divisions and businesses and different streams. In those divisions that they don't innovate, things get slow and more difficult, and the returns or the margins get smaller and smaller. So eventually they need to suddenly do a huge change. But in those divisions that keep doing incremental innovation and changes, that doesn't happen, and they don't hit that sort of huge big problems. The second point goes back to what Barbara mentioned, and I think it was also mentioned in previous conversations about it's about little small things, not necessarily large ones. That is what I have very closely observed and repeatedly I have seen, especially when it comes to AI. I have been helping businesses in past 20 years to basically just do innovation using AI. And one of the very common mistakes that I have seen is, especially when the word AI comes in, people want to suddenly boil the ocean. They want to target something completely 100% new. It's all innovation only. And that goes wrong. So usually the most successful ways to innovate that I have been involved with is about finding what is a small critical challenge in the business, targeting that. Don't try to, do a revolution and change everything. Target that small thing, doing improvements there, and then you will see good impacts.
Well, it comes down to the weakest link in the chain, doesn't it? I mean, when we look at businesses and we look at the end-to-end process and we say, okay, so from bringing in the client to delivering and then invoicing, there is a critical part, and it's there are not that many steps really, and there might be a whole bunch of auxiliary stuff that goes on over here, but you have to identify that critical part, and then you have to say, okay, where is the bottleneck? Because there's no point in fixing something else if the bottleneck is here. You need to figure out what the bottleneck is and fix that first, or improve it, as you point out, Ali. And a small improvement can have a big multiplier effect down the line. And I think a lot of people don't think like that. And they go, oh, we're going to bring in this brand new system and this, that, and the other. But that's not what the problem is. You've just created another problem. Joseph, you haven't said much. Well, pick on you.
Innovation is quite an interesting subject, because I think it's relative to where organizations sit. And I can only tell you about my experiences as such. So we have varied customers, from small businesses to large companies, and each business as such will have their own methods and will use their own tools to get their jobs done. What usually happens for us to, let's say, provide better tools or better environments, we usually learn about ways to innovate ourselves and then try and apply that to our customers accordingly. A lot of times that doesn't work, or it's too fast to make that happen. And I think, as Josh said, if you may do this too quickly, and as a result, you'll fail. And hopefully, from that failing, there'll be some learning in which you can apply a better solution, a smarter solution, and a change in an environment which helps develop not only our business but our customers as well. So really, when I talk about innovation, our team more or less understands where we want to get to, or if we want to innovate a process or a product or a combination of both, we need to understand what the outcome of that is going to be. And then in that manner there, we can try and apply it to our customers.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing, of course, is that change is always hard. Most people hate change.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I have a project with a medical organization which is expanding and also changing their applications of use, and it's the change in the application are warranted, and the benefits can be seen, especially by the executive team as such. What the problems we face is that we have people working in the organisation that don't like that change because it's foreign to them and they're afraid of the change, and as a consequence, they don't see the benefit in the change.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I mean, I know one organization where they would go in with a SaaS product where they would help you with your procurement, and it happened to be marketing services for procurement, and they would put this SaaS system in, and 3 or 4 months later, the organization would say, look, this is not working. And the reason it wasn't working was because the client would have had X number of people who'd been doing this for 20 years in this particular way, and they simply did not want to change. And so even though the organization would have saved considerable sum of money and efficiency, become much more effective and efficient, wouldn't happen. And, we've all probably seen any number of examples like that over the years. So the question then is there a difference between, say, Gen Z, maybe millennials, and those of us who are slightly older in the way we basically focus on innovation or even consider innovation or what innovation is?
Rashid, can I make a comment on that? Just on my observations, millennial or Gen Z and what have you, they, I'm actually quite older, so they love the as someone said, they like the shiny products and what have you. So when it comes to applying the use of, let's say, a new phone or a new computer or a combination of that, they're all for it because it affects them personally. But one thing that I find is that when I go into organizations, and especially if there are problems that are happening, let's say a system fails or a PC doesn't work and what have you, one of the first comments I get from everybody is I don't know much about computers. I just only know how to do my job with that. Okay. And that, when you look at that, that's across the board, whether there's someone that's 18 years old or 60 years old. I think innovation affects people differently, but it affects them personally before it affects them in the day-to-day work that they do, especially if they work for someone.
So here's the thing. Do you reckon innovation comes from curious people?
I'll say yes. Anyone else?
That makes sense to me.
Probably not only curious people. Sometimes innovation comes from pressure and dealing with challenges.
So that comes back to the pain. I've got pain. I need to do something.
Yeah.
Am I going to look for a solution? Mm.
But is
Chris?
that innovation?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. There's probably different levels of innovation, right? Like if
Mm.
it's just, oh, there's a kink in my business, I need to improve a process.
Mm.
That's, and I don't know the terminology here, but that would be like a low level of innovation compared to, I'm going to put somebody onto Mars. How am I doing that? You know, so different thinking, different pain point.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the innovation that's happened because we put a man on the moon, or most innovation that happens because somebody wants to go to war with somebody. Those are the reasons most innovation happens, unfortunately. Chris, what about you, man?
Oh, careful about opening the floodgates here.
Yeah.
What would you? So I'm trying to reframe. What are you asking? Why innovation happens? What we're doing?
What you're doing in the field of innovation, and why you think it's
Okay.
important for your clients?
Yeah, good question. Like, so being a copywriter and a message strategist, obviously we are going through what you can imagine with ChatGPT, and I have done ever since November research. Now, to be honest, I haven't really been affected. Like, we haven't seen a drop off in anything. People are very much still using us, and it's simply because of time, right? That time and expertise, and also because they know that it takes a lot to get ChatGPT to get it anywhere close to what they need it to. And in addition, we're also finding that people are like, I can make it do things, but it doesn't mean that it's right. Like, it writes better than I do, but as in the client saying this, but they're saying, how do I actually make it do what my brand actually needs? And that's where we have innovated in terms of strategy. Is we have always been a consultative messaging business. And so what we have been doing is we haven't really changed anything because we've always offered that full service that people keep coming back to me with. Now I'm speaking to AI specialists every single day. Like, I just did this yesterday. And it's funny, Rashid, like, I've got a counter because I'm very open to innovation. Sorry, I will shut up if I carry on, right? So Rashid, stop me. But like, I'm very open to innovation. Like, I'm very, look, every week I'm having strategy sessions with my team, and we're going, how can we expand our service? What can we do differently? What feedback have we received that has allowed us to open other things? And we do this a lot, right? So we've evolved our business quite a lot. But it's funny that yesterday, speaking to that AI professional, we actually came to the conclusion that we shouldn't be innovating at the moment. And I know it sounds counterproductive, right? And the reason why is because we're in this weird space where people are going, if I come to you, I don't want you using AI. And so we're in this weird spot because I've got a whole team of human copywriters and marketing specialists, and people that come to us go, I want you to be creating content without the use of AI. So we're in this weird spot. We have to say, we're using it for research, but we're not using it for output. Do you see what I mean? And people are still coming to us because they go, well, I can go AI or I can go to someone professional, like a bookkeeper. Xero does bookkeeping for you now, right? But people still go to bookkeepers. Why? Because they know that when they're going to a bookkeeper, that they've got all the latest on the laws and all that sort of thing. Same with us, right? And so in the end, this AI specialist was like, maybe you shouldn't change anytime soon because knee-jerk reactions might actually turn you away, and you'll end up becoming a carbon copy of why they're going for AI rather than you. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, and the AI on some level, the ChatGPT is going to produce very similar output because everyone's going to get very similar input.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we've actually called it the AI copywriting sandwich, whereas you have a marketing strategist like myself who does all the inputs after doing all the research. So when a client comes to us, they go, here's my problem, dump. And then I make sense of it all, build it into a case. And then I go, now you can potentially use AI because with my knowledge, I can put it into AI and give it the right instructions. But then the other thing is when it puts the output out, it's then having someone that has 20 years of experience in message articulation to then fix its output. And that's the logical innovation here. But the thing is people actually aren't fans of that. The client doesn't want me using that because they say, well, I want you to be doing it yourself. Do you see what I mean? So it's a weird space that we're in.
Yeah, because I think from your point of view, if you said to a client, I can speak in your voice, try getting the AI to do that.
Yeah, and that's what we're finding is that we work with like bigger companies like News Corp and the Australian government and all of that, and they don't want the risks or anything like that. They don't have the time to put prompts in or anything like that. So it's funny that you think that of all the businesses here, you think that mine would be going through the most innovative need right now, but it's actually quite the opposite because people are like, well, now we've got AI and we've got you. Don't merge them.
I think,
or there's an intersection.
I actually think this is the innovation at this point in time. That the innovation is that, yes, we know we have it all. We are up to date to all of it. And that's what we're doing because of what's coming at us. So sometimes staying with the same stuff is actually somewhat innovation.
Yeah, and that's what I mean,
you may find a
so
completely different client base that actually value what you're doing, and that within is doing. You know, it's not necessarily about doing the same thing, but maybe why you're doing it. And I think that's why the why question is so important. The how question is not going to give you answers on a strategic level.
Yes, you're right,
that's
Barbara.
the problem with the how question. The how question gives you the tactics and the step by step, but it doesn't give you the reason why and what you have to do so that you can then implement the tactics. And you have answered your why, and I think that's really important. And that's why you're doing what you're doing.
Validation. And thank you for the validation, because I thought I was crazy.
No,
because I thought, like, after getting off with an AI, it wasn't another copywriter, it was an AI specialist. And the fact that at the end of the hour call, she was like, listen, don't do knee-jerk reactions because you're doing the right thing. And like you said, Barbara, it is changing. It's actually the tire kickers that we wouldn't work with anyway are going to AI, and that's perfectly fine. That hasn't affected us. So that was interesting, Barbara. Thank you. Rashid,
that's interesting, because I think there's an intersection. If you think of two events, there's AI and there's you, but what's the intersection? How do you use as you pointed out, the research capabilities?
Yes,
and the synthesis capabilities, and then meld that with your experience, and what is that intersection? Because that's what makes you unique.
You're right, 100%. And the funny thing is that in the end, it just ends up being much easier for my human copywriters to write it because of the sophistication of the clients we're working with. I wish that I could, like, I even said, I love my team, but I even said, is to the AI specialist, is my team obsolete now? And she said, you answer that. And when we actually talked about it, it would take me much longer to prompt it and edit it than it would to just write it from scratch, other than the research with AI. AI is great for research. If I say, tell me more about this, it does that. But to write a website with this thing, I would be prompting for like 24 hours going, oh, but it has to be this, but it has to be that, but it has to be mindful of this and this tone and all that. In the end, it's just easy.
You could have written
like
it
7 times by then. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I'm seeing the same thing with LinkedIn posts and AI that writes comments, and I'm going,
oh,
a one sentence comment would be pithier than this long paragraph that this AI has produced. And then I have to rewrite it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Nobby.
But innovation is important.
Thanks, Chris. Nobby. Innovation for you, mate. You're a big innovator.
I love ChatGPT. I'm right in there.
I'm not saying we don't love it. Just where do we use
agreed.
it?
Yeah, it's not that we don't.
No, and I love it. And either you innovate or you get left behind. And innovation doesn't mean that you have to move forward. Innovation can be exactly what you said, staying where you are with your copywriting and doing that. And that in itself is innovation, because you've formed a solid brick wall. You've got something there that's proven, whereas going with something new doesn't always necessarily work out. So, but in my particular case, I came in here on a Sunday and I thought, there's something I know that I want to do. And I found all of my information, all my company information, everything that I could find, and I chucked it into ChatGPT, and I just kept feeding it in there into one. Because when you open ChatGPT and you've got all these conversations going on the left-hand side, they're all missing the continuous thread. So I thought, bugger, I jumped out of bed, fed it all into one conversation and said, now you know everything, let's start talking. And it started giving me exactly what I wanted. So I said, now we're going to write a book. So that was a Sunday. On the Monday, I wrote the book, 10 chapters, and I personally wrote an introduction, a foreword, and yada, yada, yada. But the 10 chapters were basically written by ChatGPT. And I went through and tidied them all up, because it has this terrible habit of saying, in this next section, we're going to, and yada, yada. So it keeps repeating itself like that. So I went through and tidied it up. And it's amazing how taking 3 words out and replacing it with 1 can make all the difference to that particular paragraph. So I did that. So the book was finished on the Tuesday night. I did the covers on the Wednesday. Wasn't totally happy with it, so I sent them off to a guy in Pakistan. Came back this morning, and I've had feedback on it, so I know which way I'm going with that. And then while that was happening, Monday night, I was laying in bed and I thought, I want to go back to what I was doing before. So as a financial advisor, working, and I was just talking to a friend of mine who's in hospital on the phone there before, but I used to go out in the middle of the night, 7 o'clock, middle of winter, cold, freezing. People had had their dinner. I'm sitting there with my feet under the kitchen table. Their kids are screaming, TV's going, you can't get their attention. And I thought, what the hell am I doing here? And eventually I switched across to doing corporate superannuation, which was I could walk into one of my clients like HSB, and I could speak to 10 people working there and walk out with a whole stack of business within a couple of hours. So it was leverage. So I learned to leverage. And I thought, I've got to go back to that. So I financial wellness is a big deal now, because everybody going through all the problems. And you can just turn the screw on it and you can feel the pain. And so I sat there with ChatGPT yesterday and I said, bingo. And it said, bango. And I said, sweet, employer, employee benefits. Last night I thought, I've got to write a letter to the employer. The employer's got to write a letter to the employees, and I can't remember what else. And a brochure. Spat it out. I was up at 12:30 last night. I haven't been to bed yet, but spat it out. I've got it all ready to go. I watched a webinar yesterday on financial wellness, and I borrowed some of the information that they came out with, and I'll feed that into the brochure. And I'm done. So ChatGPT for me has been absolutely brilliant. And if I don't like the way that it sounds, I'll say, you're too heavy, lighten it up, or put a bit of humor into it, or yada, whatever. So for me, ChatGPT is like the invention of the iPhone when that came out. So I'm ecstatic. So that's my innovation, and I'm happy with it. And of course, my innovation is a program that I created back in 2008. To show people how to manage their money, because women kept asking one question about, help me with managing my money. And so I created the program back then, and I haven't done anything with it since then. And it's taken all this time for me to now get off my bum and go out and do something about it. So innovation can be brilliant, and innovation can also be a tease, because it can take you off the track. It's like the bright, shiny object. If you allow it to draw you away, you'll get sucked into that black hole. You need to stay focused and on track. So it can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think any strength overdone becomes a weakness.
Yeah.
Ultimately. All right. Anyone got anything else you want to add? Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. All right. So,
that was great.
Well, sorry, go on.
That was great. Sorry, no, just I know I got on late because I had that other meeting, but
No, that's
it was
all right.
good to hear some fellow opinions and things. Noe, that was awesome.
I got on later.
Okay.
I was innovating.
You were innovating. Okay, so a couple of things. One is, once again, if, as you will know, other business owners that you feel comfortable with and would like to invite them along, please just introduce us and I'll have a chat with them. A couple of other things, we're going back to some of our core stuff, which is offering some high-end sales enablement training. Interestingly enough, I had a phone call from someone yesterday who said, I've got a guy, he's really enthusiastic, but he really doesn't know how to sell. And can you help him? And so we're going to be putting on some sales training courses, B2B, professional services. So I'll send out some details. If you know people that could benefit, I'd certainly appreciate an introduction. And given that we're talking about innovation, part of what we do is sit down with people and look at their overall business and how they need to innovate and how they come up with blue sky products and services, or just refocus their products and services. So if there are people in your network that could possibly benefit from that, I'd certainly also appreciate an introduction. And so let me just go around the room and just ask you what you took away from today. And the next session will be on Thursday, the 19th of October. October. Yeah. So, Rick, what did you take away?
I think took away, there's I guess consensus. Innovation is important. It's interesting to hear from the various perspectives. And yeah, ChatGPT and all that I love too. I just see it as a first draft opportunity before, and then we adjust it for our needs to make it different. But yeah, innovation, you have to innovate. It's a pretty consistent message throughout.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Rick. Peter.
Yeah, I've, as always, it was a great session, and helps me, kind of revisit some of the thoughts I've had in the past, and also hearing some new ideas. And I actually liked Josh's idea of that welcoming video when signing up clients, because I think I probably take that a little bit for granted, that once you do get the client who signs on the dotted line, I'm ready to go. And while we do have an onboarding kind of process, is probably not as personal as it could be. So I think that was a good idea, good concept.
Thanks, Peter. Josh.
Yeah, so for me, it was great what did I take away? Just the fact of meeting everybody and hearing about all your different experiences and your takes on innovation. There was definitely a flavor of AI in the conversation this morning, which I'm a fan of and I like. And also just some confirmations around how important innovation actually is, whether you're moving fast or moving slow, but being adaptable to change, and the successes that can come with that.
Thanks, Josh. Great to see you. Michael.
As always, I enjoy listening and starting to appreciate everyone's stories and what they got to share. I could relate a lot to what Aaron said earlier on, being very busy and not having the time to innovate because you're focused on clients and delivery. And I think a lot of people would be in a similar situation where, yes, we have to innovate and continue to improve the business, but we also still need to service our clients. So it's always a juggling act, and getting that balance right is a challenge for everyone on this call, I assume. So I don't think there's a magic formula for it, just getting that right balance for each individual. But as always, I really enjoy all the different stories everyone has to share. And yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Michael. And Joseph.
Look, a very interesting session for my first session. Obviously, one of the things that we all take away from this is that if we don't have some form of innovation in our companies or experiences, then we may lose business from the company, and not grow. More importantly, not grow our businesses to help our customers.
Excellent. Thanks, Joseph. Hopefully we'll see you next month.
Sure.
Chris.
Yeah, look, for me, it's always good to connect with people on this chat, even when I am late, because even like Barbara was saying, it's reassuring, and also reconnecting. So it's good to be part of this conversation and always have an ear to the ground.
Excellent. And last but definitely not least, Nobby.
Always least. So innovation is help or hinder, but don't lose focus of what you're doing. Stay true to yourself and stay true, obviously, to your clients.
I think that's a very good piece of advice, very succinct. Barbara, you want to add anything?
I think one thing to remember and it sort of attaches to what Nobby has said, innovation doesn't have to be big. I think we all think of the Elon Musks and whoever else. That's not what innovation is about. And that's why I picked on Michael before, because putting the building blocks together in a more efficient way is innovation. And everybody wins. And I think let's not make it bigger than it needs to be. And let's not get lost in, it's not big enough, therefore it's not innovative. It's just not true. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, if you just look at the 1%, 1% here, 1% there, 1% there, 1% there, it multiplies.
Absolutely.
Just listen to the song, From Little Things, Big Things Grow, because
True.
that's what it comes down to.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And just hit the 3 buttons on the bottom of the chat and save it so you get everyone's details. I'll endeavor to send it out as well. And we will see you next month, if not before. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.